Hello and welcome to Effortless Qigong's very first online workshop for relaxing after work with Qigong. Qigong for relaxing after work. I think it's well known for many of us that our work weeks in our lives come with a lot of stress. We get stress from sitting down all day at our desks, or if you have a job where up and you're moving, you're moving your body all day through at work. And in this process, what can happen is our bodies build up a lot of internal stresses. In Qigong, we say our Qi, which is our life force energy, gets stagnant, it gets blocked because we become so restricted in our bodies, both emotionally and physically, okay? That's what stress is. I mean, you can kind of self-reflect here with me for a second, just thinking about maybe a challenge you dealt with this week where your breathing became shallow because you were stressed or upset. You felt maybe a pain in your shoulders or your heart center from whatever that stress is. And a lot of us, when we come home, we don't always have the best means for undoing that stress when we get back. Now, of course, if we had like a pretty easy, chill day and we come back home, it's pretty easy to just relax, unwind, sit down on the couch, make some food, watch a movie. But when we come home and we actually have a lot of anxiety or stress, or we're ruminating about the day that we just had, that can really put a damper on how we spend our free time. It can really lower our quality of life, and we end up carrying that stress not only throughout our free time, but into the next day, and then we end up in this cycle of being perpetually stressed. Now, perhaps you've tried to solve this problem in the past of your anxiety and your stress, and maybe you've smoked a joint, or you've gone for a run, or you've tried to do yoga classes. Maybe you've just, you come home and you just take a nap or you watch Netflix. These are all potential options for different people. For some people, they try self-medicating. For others, they try different forms of exercise. For some, they try just, vegging out, chilling, playing video games. All these things are potential options. However, the problem with some of these things, like, for example, the problem with smoking a joint, is that we're kind of relying on an external substance. Also, weed used chronically can come with a lot of negative side effects, like increasing our anxiety. If we're smoking it can damage our lungs, which again reinforces feeling uncomfortable and anxious potentially. And it's just not a great long-term solution for overcoming negative emotions. And other forms of exercise like running can be great. We all know about that runner's high. It can be good for flushing and relaxing. And however, we're building up a lot of tension in our neck and shoulders and our hips, and running isn't going to address those things. And then we also have our other options like vegging out on the couch, watching TV, just making a meal, whatever, trying to distract ourselves, or just maybe we complain to our partners or our family about the day, and that's one of the ways to deal with it. This is great, but it's just it's not going to get to the core issues quite in the way that Qigong does. Qigong is powerful because, one, it's an intentional, conscious practice. We're bringing awareness into our body, into our breathing, into our nervous system and our energy body. We're actually breathing, stretching. We use visualization and self-massage to begin to undo both the physical and mental stress. When I was a kid, I used to be a competitive swimmer. My whole life I've been using my body to race and compete. And I used to get so nervous before I would swim, and I would get a stomach ache. You'd feel like I'd have to use the washroom, but I didn't actually have to use the washroom. And what I've learned now, reflecting back on that, is that the reason my stomach was hurting, because I was just so stressed. That's because we have this thing called the mind-body connection. Our thoughts and our emotions and the way we see the world actually has an effect on our body. That's what's called a somatic concept, right? An embodiment concept, the mind-body connection. So in this workshop, we're going to do a 15-move series of movements where we're going to go through, we're going to stretch and breathe and warm up the body and undo this tension, right? This is a intentional, proactive approach to dealing with our stress and our energy throughout our lives in the week. I'm very pro increasing our consciousness around things. Instead of numbing ourselves out and distracting ourselves, I actually want to get to the root of problems and deal with them there. That way they aren't perpetuating as we continue to go through our lives. Now, what is Qigong? If you've never heard of it, right? Maybe you're new to this webinar, you're watching, you're just starting to learn about Qigong. My teacher, Lee Holden, describes Qigong as the art of less stress, more energy, and I think that's a really great way to do it. Or one of my teachers. I learned from many different sources. And so Qi is an ancient word, and it's referring to a bunch of stuff. It refers to energy, right? And we have different types of Qi, different types of energy in the world. We can imagine, a car has, energy burning gasoline, that's type of Qi. The ground has certain qualities, the sky has certain qualities, and humans, we have human Qi, which is our human life force energy, the intelligence that's operating our body and our bodies themselves. This is a word used quite often in traditional Chinese medicine, which is very holistic in its approach. And we'll talk about more about that in future workshops. But Qi means life force energy, and Gong means to be skillful with it. So simply put, Qigong is becoming skillful with our life force energy. And simply, our life force energy is how we feel, it's how we move throughout the world, it's our behavior, and it's our emotions. And it's literally the process keeping us alive. It's our heartbeat, it's our metabolism, it's the warmth in our bodies, it's the way bioelectricity flows through the body. Right, so this is a really incredible thing. So we're about to dive in here. We're going to see how things are going. How are you feeling? Hope you're enjoying this workshop. So before I dive into these movements, I just want to give a little heads up here. So I want you to make sure that you're practicing somewhere safe. If you're watching the replay of this, you can pause and make the yoga mat, take the yoga mat out and place it. Make sure nothing's around you. If you're watching this live, I recommend you do this now. So just take a moment to get ready. So get your yoga mat out, make sure there's never bump into anything, that you can move around. Make sure that you turn off your phone, or make sure there's no distractions. I really want you just to be present here for the next while we go through this practice. If you feel like you have mobility, if you have some mobility needs, you can sit in a chair. If at any time you feel dizzy or anything, make sure you take a break, feel your body, do what feels right, practice at your own risk. This is a very safe and easy practice to do, but I want to make sure that you're doing, that you're taking care of yourself, and that you feel good and that you're safe. A golden rule in Qigong that we say for how we go up with this practice is no pain, no pain. Okay, so we want to heal through pleasure and through movement. Now, there might be some challenging moves, don't worry. And don't worry too much if you don't do the movements properly. As long as you aren't hurting yourself, you're just moving and you're exploring and you're feeling into your body and you're learning, you're doing Qigong. It takes months, it can take a long time to really master these movements. We don't need to master the movements to get a benefit from them. We just have to do them and show up. So the fact that you're here means a lot. You are on your way to having less stress and more energy through your life. And I'm so glad to be on this journey with you. So let's begin. I'm going to get ready here. We're gonna dive into this practice. All right. How we doing? Y'all can see me? Good? Very good. Okay, are you ready? Let's begin. So let's start with our feet hip width apart. I recommend that you just practice when it feels right to you throughout your night. Like when you get home right away, you might not want to dive into it right away. I get that. Chill, whatever. But just taking that 10, 20, 30 minutes every night or 3 times a week, however you want to do it, has a huge benefit for you. Not just during the practice, but you'll sleep better and you'll start feeling better throughout your week. So let's begin. Okay, so feet hip width apart. We want to relax our legs, even though we're standing. The knees are straight, but not straight, a little bent. And we want to relax around our hips. Cross your hands over your belly here. And we're going to just bring our attention to our body and how we're feeling right now. So let's relax the face. Relax your eyebrows. Relax the top of your head, ears, jaw. Relax the side of the neck. Relax the neck and shoulders. And feel into your arms, to your elbows and your hands. And relax the whole body here. And just breathe into your belly. Just feeling what's there. Any tension, any tightness, any pleasure. Bringing your attention to just below the navel of the belly button. Now bring one hand up to the center of the chest, and we'll do wave breathing. It's just a great movement for beginning to relax the nervous system, pulling ourselves out of that fight or flight response into that relax and recovery mode. So breathe into the belly, expand the ribs, chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, belly. We'll do a few more breaths here. Feel your feet on the mat, on the ground. Relax the shoulders. Relax the hands down. And we're going to begin to warm up our body. Where we've been sitting all day, it's now time to begin to warm up a little bit. So we can go into some stretches and stuff after that. All right, so here we go. So you want to bring your feet hip width apart. You want to inhale, arms up. And then exhale down. Okay, so you're going to inhale. Bring the heels up. And then you're going to drop. Okay, let's try that again. We'll do it for heels this time. Just watch me. Inhale up. And okay, inhale up, squeeze fist. Let's do that 3 more times. Right, relax when you're down. Relax the shoulders, everything, hands. Inhale up. Squeeze. Relax. Inhale up. One more time. Very good. And let's start just knocking on the center of our chest here. So knock and sigh, releasing stress and tension from the chest. A lot of us tend to think in the West that our stress is only up in our minds, but actually it's distributed through the body and it's held in certain energy centers in the body, which you are experiencing right now. You're doing this with inhale. Inside. Okay, on the inside there. Sorry. Just 3 times each side. So let's go to the outside. So right now we're just activating the body. Now, I recommend doing what I'm doing right now, like a little closer. Like I wouldn't do this like 2 hours before you go into bed. So today we're kind of doing a more general practice that's really good for, you know, you just get home from work, you've been sitting all day, stagnant. We're still waiting for everything. And then we're going to calm everything down. But these types of moves tend to be a little more of a wake. So we'll just nice and gentle. If I do too much, it should be fine. Just, I wouldn't do a bunch of tapping and then go to bed. Right, so, okay. Tap over the belly, just below the belly button, and slow down. Very good. Now we're going to inhale up. We're going to do a purging move, which means we're going to purge some stress from our body. Drop the arms. Relax. Just feel into the body. The warm, glowing, tingling in the hands, neck, and shoulders. If you don't feel anything, don't worry. It's perfect. Sometimes you can take a few practices. Inhale up. This time we're gonna, as you exhale, we're gonna drop and twist. Inhale up. Drop and twist. All right, so now we'll do it for real. So you drop. Inhale. Good. And slow down. Feel into the neck and shoulders and body. I feel like I can feel personally, and you should know this took me quite a few practices to get, right? But I can feel a warm, beautiful, glowing sensation in the shoulders and the arms. And I can feel any areas that are a little bit tight, kind of melting, and feels very good. Okay. Now let's inhale up. We'll do tiger. And we're going to exhale down. Exhale the energy to the earth as we inhale up. And exhale. Letting go of stress and tension. Inhale, breathing out positive energy. This is a good workout. It's a good way of getting rid of stress and tension. Inhale up. And exhale. Inhale. One more time. Very good. All right, feel into the body. Close your eyes and feel into the body. All right, open them up again. Let's move on to our next move. You can bring your hands to your hips. You can bring them palm spaced together behind your back like this. And if that's too much for you, you can lower it down. Right? Anywhere, any way you do it is totally fine. Okay, so inhale. Nice and gentle here. We're going to go real nice and slow. You're going to exhale that down. And now you're going to inhale. Bring the head to the side. Bring the head across the shoulders, not too far back. And exhale from the mouth. We'll do this 2 more times. So bring it across. Exhale down. Inhale. Bring that across. Exhale down. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, opposite direction. And now. Last one. Back to center. All right. Now that move is great for undoing tension in the neck and the shoulder area. Always make sure you do that really slow and gentle. And remember to make sure you do what feels good for you, right? That's one of my favorite moves. Ooh, I feel good. All right, now we're gonna do a gentle shoulder roll. These aren't your mom's shoulder rolls. All right, inhale and rotate. One more. I'm gonna do this 6 times in each direction. So get 2 more now. I'm just doing these gentle shoulder rolls. Not do a little wave of the spine. And now change direction. Shoulder roll. Shoulder roll. And inhale as you come up. Exhale down. Maybe some crunchies, some pops. Maybe this feels very juicy for you. One more time. Very good. We'll move on to our next move here, which is dragon stretches its tail. One of my favorite moves. It's pretty simple. Want to try it? Let's do it. All right. Inhale to the hands. Exhale, push away. Look over the other shoulder. Inhale, look at the hands. Exhale, look away. We'll do 3 times on each side. Inhale, look at the palms. Exhale, push away. And take a breath here. And exhale down. Inhale, put the hands on the other side. Exhale, hands go toward the opposite wall as your head looks away. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale, lengthen, feel it stretch and open through the shoulders, some lines of tension through the hands. And breathe here for a breath. Exhale, arms down. Feel into the shoulders, feel that warmth and opening in the shoulders. Now that we've opened up the shoulders, we've warmed up and we're in our bodies. Let's do a little spinal twist. Our spines tend to get stiff as we age and from sitting all day, and we don't really spend a lot of attention thinking about our spine. But I think partly the reason is that we can't see it, but we sure can feel it when we bring our attention to it. And a lot of us have a lot of tension in our back and spine area. So we're going to do a wringing out motion here. So bring your hands in front of you. Inhale. Bring it to the side a little bit. Inhale. Stay straight. And exhale as you turn from the hips, keeping the arms in front of the chest. As we twist, wringing out the spine. Keep turning from the twist and the hips. Now turn the mid-body, the shoulders, and the neck. Inhale. Coming back to center. Exhale, other side. This is a great movement for wringing out the spine, creating suppleness in the lower spine, mid spine, neck and shoulders. And inhale as we come back to center. We'll do one more time each side. Inhale, starting from the hips, shoulders, neck. And inhale back to center. And we'll exhale, hips. Nice and slow. And we're coming back to center. Very good. Now, when we sit all day, we're putting a lot of tension in our lower backs, our hip area, right? Tend to get a little stiff. If you've ever sat on a plane all day or a bus, or you've been working hard all day at the office, you know how it feels. You're, even though sitting is easy, it ain't that easy on the body, right? So let's do some hip rotations. So I kind of like to put my hands to the sides here. I'm cupping over the hip bone area. And I bring it around town like that. All right. Come back, come around forward, and then go back, just like that. And breathing, remember, making sure we breathe here. Do one more. Now let's change direction. So coming this way. Do two more. All right. Let's feel into the body, feel an open flow of energy, upper body, lower body. Done a bunch of really beneficial stuff for our body in just a short amount of time. Okay, and also a little bit of shaking. So start pumping the hands, shaking the feet. Inhale, and sigh. Inhale. Shaking is a great way of releasing stress in the shoulders and the whole body. And it can feel really pleasurable as well. Once you get that G flowing. All right, inhale. Slow that down. Feel into the body. Relax the fingers, hands, shoulders, neck. Very cool. So now we're going to go into what's called a flow. So these are really gentle movements. Remember, these are not stretches. These are gentle movements to help remind our bodies to move with grace, with ease. It's going to cultivate inner relaxation, joy. And each of these movements are going to focus on something a little different. So let's start off with a movement called the Buddha flow. So inhale, arms float up. Moving nice and gentle here. Exhale. Inhale, arms float up. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now we're going to go into a movement called the fountain. So bring the back of the hands together. Inhale. And slight curve of the spine, wave of the spine. Inhale. Can you notice? Wave. Inhale. And exhale. Movements called the fountain. Using this movement, just focusing on what's called an element in Qigong. And we'll do a 5 elements workshop in the future. For today, what we're really focused on is moving our body gently, slowly, with intention. That's all we're really focused on here. Inhale. And exhale. Hands come down to the side. All right. Inhale, one arm comes back. One arm is forward. And one arm straight back. One arm comes forward. Inhale. Exhale. Push through. Other arm comes straight back. And exhale, push through. Inhale. Exhale. And exhale. And exhale. Exhale. Bring the arms down. Inhale. Exhale, push forward. Move your hands over the surface of the leg. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Bring the arms down. Inhale, arms float up. Pushing yourself above murky waters. Exhale. Moving with gentle grace here. It's moving the body. Gentle motion. No tension more than necessary. Combining that with breath. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And cross the hands over the belly. Bring the feet together. Relax the face, neck, and shoulders. And bring your attention to your belly. Just breathe here. Relax the shoulders, hands, relax the feet, and just gently swaying with the breath. Gentle rub the belly. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to sit, so grab a seat, get a mat or a chair. Sit down for a minute here. We're going to do a little 1-minute meditation. So this sitting comfortably, closing your eyes, and inhale. Relaxing. Take the tongue through from the mouth and just breathe. Relax your shoulders and feel your weight on the floor. Hear the sounds in the room. Thank you. All right. That was a great little Qigong practice. Really good for doing within the first hour and a half that you get home. It's going to leave you feeling relaxed. It's going to help you do some attention. The more often you do it, the better you're going to feel. All right. Now, if you enjoyed that practice, I recommend that you might be interested in a webinar that's going to show you the 5 steps to have less stress and more energy during your work week without boring meditation or losing productivity. This webinar is available. You can ask me for the link. It's available on my Instagram. And it's another great resource that's going to take you deep as well. That one goes into more of the theory and how you can take this Qigong practice and put it into the full big picture of your week, okay? Your weekly week that we're all going through, your work week. Okay, so now we're going to go into some commonly asked questions. This is how we're going to end the webinar. Now, I know a lot of you will be watching this video through the replay. That's great. And those of you who joined today, thank you so much. Okay. First question is, can Qigong help me sleep at night, or how will Qigong affect my sleep? I personally have found, and a lot of my clients and students have found, that Qigong helps with sleep. Now, there's different types of Qigong. Some Qigong is more active and wakeful, more yang, and some of it's more sleepy and tired. So specifically doing a Qigong movement that's more gentle and flowing and relaxing, it's going to help us go to bed. We want to do more yin style practice. Then there's different types of practices that are better for waking up in the morning. So yes, Qigong is great for helping you to sleep better, personally. And I notice that in myself, my students notice it, and I read lots of people talking about this online, okay? All right, how do I know I'm doing the movements right? Well, this is an important question, because even though, like I said in the beginning, as long as we're moving and feeling into our bodies, we're not hurting ourselves, we're doing Qigong, and we're going to get benefit from it. However, to really go in and get the deep juiciness and to do that inner alchemy on ourselves, and to really get the most out of the stretches and the breathing, and to do it really well, it really helps to have someone look at your technique and guide you through that. And so if that's something you're interested in doing, I recommend that you send me a message and we can book a one-on-one call where I will help you with your movements and your technique and answer any questions for you. And there's also the potential in that call for us to work together, for you to get the most out of this practice. It's great to watch YouTube videos, it's great to follow along, but to really get the most of it, it's really great to have someone there, even online, especially online, watching movements and giving you feedback on them, helping you do them better, helping you get the most out of it, so we can answer any questions for you. So I recommend that you take up the offer. You get one free half-hour session with me, and we can go over all this stuff. Can Qigong be dangerous? Yes, Qigong can be dangerous if you don't do it right. There's certain movements, like the water buffalo, And depending on our own health, that just so much energy can move through the body at once, and like potentially knock you out a little bit, and you can fall over, you can lose your balance. Generally, Qigong is very, very safe, right? Most of these movements I'm showing you today probably did very fine. However, each of our bodies are different. Each day we feel a little bit different. And always practice with caution and always train your own risk. Make sure that you're safe, that you aren't practicing near a cliff or near rocks, because all that can be dangerous. So just practice in your home, practice on grass. And if you do feel, a little lightheaded, it's okay to stop and sit down and take a break and just feel into your body. Start again, right? Some movements might not be for you, some might be. So always take care of yourself. Now, a lot of people ask me, oh, you must be a Buddhist, or are you Buddhist? And my answer is no. I have no particular identity in any way with any of these things. I like to study Buddhism. I study Taoism. I study many different spiritual practices. And I'm also someone who studies a lot of science too. I like all this stuff, and I think it's all important for figuring out why we're here, what the universe is, and how to live well in life. That's really the most important question I'm asking, is how do I contribute to the world? How do I make the world a more beautiful place? And how do I live a good life? And I've come to realize that by helping others feel good in their body, I can help others develop a form of wealth that no money can really buy. Okay. The next question is, so Qigong is an ancient practice, which it is an ancient practice. It's rooted in ancient Chinese shamanism. It's part of the Tao, Buddhist Qigong, Taoist Qigong. Is there any science to back this up? And the answer is yes. There's studies being done on Qigong all the time. New discoveries are being discovered all the time. And especially when you break down Qigong into its components, exercise, stretching, breathing, meditation, there's plenty of studies done on all these, the potential benefits. And I encourage you to do your own research and explore that. However, science is great, studies are great, but unless you yourself are actually doing the practice and feeling it for yourself, you're never really going to know, right? Don't just pick up a bunch of beliefs. Actually experiment for yourself, do the practice, because when it comes to health and wellness, modern Western science isn't the only thing in town. In fact, all this stuff is kind of being brought together, right? As more and more people are learning, and the West and the East are sharing ideas. We don't want to compartmentalize all these things. We want to combine them and explore in a safe way. And that's my opinion on that. If I had to pick one move to do, what would that be? Well, this is a complicated answer, and I've heard different opinions on it. What I would recommend you to do is to rewatch any of my videos on YouTube, rewatch this workshop, and pick one move, right? Because you might be busy. Maybe you aren't doing Qigong every day for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Pick one move and explore that one move, right? Just like do one move for 5 minutes, see how that feels, right? Because if you have tight hips, maybe you want to do the hip rotations. If you want to flow, do the flow movements to relax deeper. If you're feeling anxious, maybe you want to do a purging exercise. If you want to start to build up the energy in the energy centers, it's different movements for that. If you want to flow the energy to the meridian lines, different moves for that. If you want to go to bed, there's different moves. Wake up, there's different moves. If you want to work on your digestion, there's different moves. And so there's all kinds of different stuff in Qigong. I can't really say that there's a best move. First, people say it's the tree standing pose. You stand up, and I'll show you that later. But kind of one of those things. It's like what is the best song? It's like, every day it changes. Who shouldn't practice Qigong, or why shouldn't we? Well, this is complicated. No, there's always a trade-off. You're practicing Qigong, you're not running, or you're not playing video games, or you're not, doing something else for that time. I think really, if you're someone with health problems and you're practicing by yourself, there's like a fall risk for you. You might want to consult with a doctor before you do any practice, and always practice at your own risk. But really, Qigong's for everyone. It's not just for, some people think Tai Chi and Qigong is for old people. No, this is for people of all ages, especially young people. There's a lot of anxiety and stress right now in the world. This is a very powerful habit to install into your life. We are the accumulation of our habits, so let's install the best ones possible. Lastly, when will the next workshop be? Well, that's a great question. I plan on doing at least six online workshops this year. That means one every 2 months. So what you should be expecting from me in terms of free online content this year is ideally 1 week, one YouTube video that's edited and pretty good on YouTube every single week. You should expect free content on TikTok and Instagram, posts on Facebook, and some shorts on YouTube, that kind of thing. And then as it gets warmer in spring and summer, there'll be a lot more live streams being done in early morning, at night, so you can always follow along with that. These live streams will soon be on TikTok, and they will be on Instagram much sooner. Okay. That's great. So you'll have lots of stuff you can watch and follow along. And ideally, over time, there's a really nice catalog of short free videos for people who are just getting started in the Qigong to watch those online. Now, for those of you who really enjoyed this, what I recommend that you do if you are serious about developing less stress and more energy in your life is that you consider checking out my free webinar, which is on YouTube or Instagram. I talked about that. But actually hopping on a call with me and let's talk about where you are right now with your stress and energy mission in life, where you are with your fitness goals, your health goals. Because I believe that Qigong is a foundational part of a healthy life, because when we do these mind-body practices, we are investing in our longevity, our health, our mental health, health of our organs and our body. It covers so much, right? These mind-body practices are so crucial to having a great, healthy life. They feel good to do, they're fun to do. They're different. Not all people know about Qigong, makes you kind of unique and different. And yeah, it's incredible. So I recommend that you check that out. They hop on this call. They send me a message, let's talk, let's hop on a call, let's do this thing. And currently I'm looking for 10 people who are interested in working with me for 8 weeks. It's an 8-week program called the Effortless Workweek. Now, the Effortless Workweek, maybe it has sort of a different name. It's like, what is that all about? Well, it's really all about how we can use Qigong for those 8 weeks. You're going to learn Qigong, but you're also going to learn some powerful principles and ideas for having less stress and more energy, feeling good throughout the day, all day. So we don't just want to do these 10-minute practices at the end of the day or in the morning. We want to have a solid way of going through the life in more of an effortless, smooth way. That's one of the most valuable things that we can have in our lives, is the ability to go through our lives with effortless power. We don't want to be grinding and tense and stressed all the time. No, there's something deeper, and that's what Qigong is all about. That's why I like the concepts of Buddhism and Taoism. Really about going through life in a more effortless, smooth, conscious, intelligent, and wise way. So that's what this Effortless Workweek program is really all about. There is Qigong, there's weekly live classes, and there's one coaching call a week where we talk about this stuff, right? There's 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 modules to go through. It's very interesting. It's a coaching program that goes deep into how we can use ancient Taoist principles, modern science, and Qigong to develop what I call the effortless work week, which is a work week with less stress and more energy, joyful productivity without boring meditation, harmful substances, any of that stuff. It is an incredible experience, and I really think you would enjoy it. So let's hop on a call. Let's talk soon. Hope you're doing well. Hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you for joining me today. Peace.